So what you're receiving is the hybrid bell schedule. And I think it's really important to see that and be able to conceptualize the teacher's day right now, because prior to transitioning to hybrid, our teachers have been teaching from 8 to approximately 1:30. And then they've been offering office hours to students in that school, in their work day. So the teacher contract day ends at 3:15. Thank you. So it's important to understand that now that we've transitioned to hybrid, beginning today for our 6th graders and then 7th and 8th, of course, next week, and our high schoolers, that means that teachers will be teaching nearly the entire contract day, which eliminates that time in the afternoon for students to receive direct assistance from their teacher. So therefore, I'm bringing forward this evening a request for approval to the tutoring agreement with Paper Education Company. In the attachments for tonight's agenda item, I included a list of, it had the quote in the service agreement, as well as a list of other districts within the state that are utilizing Paper Education Company currently. Currently, students, if they needed to access tutoring outside of their school day, of course, if you're in cohort A and you needed assistance and you're working in the afternoon, your teacher's teaching, they could access Paper Education Company. The approximate wait time is 1 minute. Support can be provided. It's a credentialed teacher in English or Spanish. And it could also be done in a small group. We know that some of our students, particularly at the secondary level, like to study together. So one other component of the program is that it offers an option for students to submit their essays, like for an English class, for feedback before they submit it to their teacher, and receive individualized feedback or grammatical errors, spelling errors, things like that. Because we know that our teachers, while they're teaching throughout the day, their time is more limited. So it's a support not only for the students, but for the teachers as well. Because trying to give feedback to 100, and if you have 5 sections of English, that's 30 students to a section, 150 students. That's a lot of students to provide feedback. So I really want to point out that the low performing student block grant is funds for LEAs, but serving students identified as low performing on state English language arts or math assessments who are not otherwise identified for supplemental grant funding or eligible for special education services. So that's a large majority of our students. All students would be able to access this. We're really fortunate because recently in our negotiations, we came to an agreement with our teachers to offer in-person tutoring services offered by our own teachers, which is wonderful. But when we look at our schedule that's in front of you, for us to provide equitable in-person tutoring, that means that a teacher is providing tutoring in person in the morning for cohort A, as well as in the afternoon for cohort B. Because if they only offer afternoon tutoring, those morning students have already gone home. Additionally, students who are distance learning would be able to access this for support. Now, this is being recommended, or the proposal is for grades 6 through 12, all students in grades 6 through 12. Our recommendation would be to provide a fluid service through the entire school year, through next school year. Currently, the balance in our low performing students block grant would pay for, it's $110,000, so more than half of it.
And the CARES funding would provide
exactly.
balance.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter if we go. I mean, it's not numbered, but either the 12 or 16 month option.
16, that's correct. 16 would take us through the entire next school year. 12 would drop the service in March.
Thank you.
Where I really came down, and I was thinking about this a lot this afternoon. We heard a caller in earlier tonight suggest we need to do something about grading them because of all the kids that are flunking. We're hearing in other districts some proposals that I find extreme and that I would never dream of recommending to you, like saying that whatever grades you get in one semester, you can use that for both semesters. So like if you got an F one semester and an A the second semester, you get A's for both semesters. Any number of proposals that are coming up that have strictly to do with credit recovery and not one darn thing to do with whether or not the kids learn the material.
Right.
We're in this business so that kids learn the material, not that they get 182 credits or something and get a piece of parchment. They're supposed to learn the material. And we need to do everything within our power in these extraordinary circumstances to give them every available avenue to do that, not reduce the standards, not reduce the requirements and say, here's a piece of paper that means nothing. On the other hand, we can't say, fare thee well, good luck. We have to do everything we possibly can with the money that we've been given to make them be successful, to create a path where they can learn the material. But to give up is not the plan. We can't do that. The other thing we have to be very careful of is making sure that we do everything we possibly can so they don't get sued. for failure to do that.
Are we
So
gonna
I'm going
allow-
to speak in very strong support of doing this to give every support to our kids. And I'm going to speak against reducing graduation requirements.
I agree to that.
Yeah, I just want to say this is an amazing find. You guys seem to find all these fantastic things out there. This thing to me is, the privacy policy seems to be solid. The parent consent has to be there. Analytics, the email notifications. I like that that possibly the teachers will be asking them to use it. They decide they don't want to, because the more they use it, the easier it gets. The more familiar they get, the more they'll use it, right? So, and the word of mouth, it'll spread to their friends and their classmates, and I just think it's a great idea. The 24/7 access.
This is a great opportunity to save time for our teachers in that, especially in language arts and math, to take the time necessary to really help a kid through analysis of what they're doing is great. It takes time. And as a language arts teacher, both in the summer school program for the high school, at that level and at the middle school levels, when you have 150 kids coming through, to really analyze a piece as it should be is very time consumptive. This way, they're able to get it first before they turn it in for the teacher thing. That's a major time saver. But I'm going to ask the money man, can we afford it with what we've been presented?
Yes,
You didn't push the button on the back, couldn't hear it.
yes.
Thank you.
Yeah,
So I'm all for
Like-
this.
like Miss Haley said, there is the low performing block grant we do need to spend up. This is a perfect, expense for that. And then I was just looking at ESSER 2,
Yes.
assurance number 11. It's in your document. You can see that it totally aligns to that. So I think it's a
It's
perfect
a home
expense
run.
for that.
Yeah, yeah.
Nathan?
Again, just yet another example of the continued work that you guys do behind the scenes. And I'm thrilled to hear that this is going to be accessible for all students, not just the struggling Spanish and English. That's really exciting. I'm ready to make a motion if there's nobody other discussion.
You can make the motion.
Okay.
I have another question. Go ahead.
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the 15-month agreement with paper education companies for grades 6 through 12 tutoring services at a total cost of $221,375.
I second that.
Who seconded?
Gerhard.
Aaron, okay.
No, I was just the loudest.
So, discussion, Chris.
How much time is allocated? Is there a timeout if a student just doesn't get it and they're on, for 10 minutes? Is there a timeout or the tutor stays
unlimited.
on?
It's unlimited and unlimited access. So if they needed additional help, they stay on. If they need access, the tutor 5 times a day, they can do that as well.
And is there a scalability we're not going to be the only district that faces this dilemma. So if they have, 100 districts sign on, they're able to scale up and find enough tutors. Can you find out for us?
I can find out,
Thank
yes.
Nathan?
Just my last question, and I just want to confirm that, you guys said that this is also as high up as AP honors classes. They too get to use this as well.
Correct.
That's awesome.
Okay, so with that, we have the motion for it's 16 months to approve the tutoring agreement with Paper Education Company grades 6 through 12 for 16 months. And motion made by Nathan, seconded by Tim Gerhard. And with that, I'll call for the vote.
May I?
Oh, yes?
Kurt, this is a question for you. Would you have been more comfortable with a 12-month and then to see how it goes?
Initially I was, but the more I thought about it, I think I'd like to see it all the way through to the end of the year.
Alright.
And since we have the money, I hate to say it, but this is a better expenditure of any number of other things I could think of.
Oh, yeah.
My first thought was 12.
Good.
And longer, if they have an extension, we should ask
Let's make
them,
sure it works first.
you know, an optional extension.
I had sticker shock at first. It's like, that's way too much money. But the
Does-
more I
If
thought
there's
about it,
not if the price was, if we only had to pay the differential, if we, after the 12 months to extend it, it seems to me that we should go for the 12 months and make sure it's working well. If we could-
cancel. I
So I can-
think we can cancel at that point.
Can-
No,
If
we
you-
cannot.
we
So-
cannot?
No, it's
Sorry.
it's a fixed term
What was it you
contract,
told
as
me
I
we could
understand it.
I do understand Ms. Baker's question, and it does make sense that if you wanted to do the 12-month and then wanted to evaluate the reports and determine that it was being used and then pay the differential, that's another option.
I mean, it sounds great, but it's a lot of
Yeah,
money to
almost too
jump
good
in
to
and
be
say
true,
six, let's go for the maximum.
Sure, William.
I'm actually gonna stay where I'm at, and here's why. We do need to, as I've shared several times, we need to use the low performing block grant. And then as far as CARES funds, my concern with that is that if we don't take advantage of this now, which we're talking, yeah, it is $40,000 or, a little bit less than that. However, if we don't use it now and it ends up getting used for something else, and we wanted that at the 3 months, I think this is such a great service to our kids, to our teachers, that it's worth making that commitment now, taking that chance up front. So for this one, for our kids, for our teachers, I'm gonna stay where I'm at.
Especially until we're in full
Exactly.
class.
This is
Tim?
an invaluable resource.
Okay,
Hopefully.
I
So-
see that aspect, the financial aspect. And as I said, and just for math and language arts, writing, it'll be a godsend, especially for our Hispanic group that are just learning English. This is what would be very effective with them. But at the same time, we haven't talked much tonight about our special needs kids. Now, special needs they can do just about anything anybody else can if they have the time. It's very hard for teachers in, new programs and everything else to get individual students time to become as successful as they could be. This is a way that allows them the opportunity to do that. If the parents know that it's there and how to use it. And so along with training of the teachers, I think we, in the special ed area, should also make sure that those parents know and understand how to use this to help the kids support themselves.
I agree.
I'll chime in here on the, I think we should do it for the 16 months. Right now, we've got just a little bit of this school year left to go. Then we would have whatever we're going to be looking like, our operations are going to look like in the fall. Hopefully it's full back in-person training. But then I think to give it a really fair trial, we would have to give it a full school year and hopefully normal school operations to give both them a fair shot at showing us what they can perform and to assist our students during that time. The idea of having this resource available to them until March and then pulling the rug out from under them in April doesn't make much sense to me. So I prefer here just, if we're going to do it, let's go all the way and do it for the 16 months till the, was it 30 June of next year?
Correct. Through the entire next school year.
I call for
Yes.
the vote.
Okay. Question's been called. Just Thorne, if you wish to insist on the 12-month thing, then you'd vote no on this motion and then we'll see what happens.
Well,
Okay.
and only for that reason.
Okay, so then any further discussion? If not, we're going to vote now. Nathan,
Williams, aye.
I'd prefer the 12 months to be fiscally responsible, so I vote no.
okay, Tim,
Gerhard, aye.
Dan and I.
Roush, aye.
Jim,
Reed, yes.
Aaron, yes. So this one here, approved tutoring agreement with Paper Education Company, grade 6 through 12.